welcome. Um, this is Dr. Sara Safari. She's an author, a speaker, a mountain climber, college professor, electrical engineer, and most importantly for today, an advocate for women empowerment. She's the founder and president of CYE, a nonprofit that is focusing on women's empowerment. She's received the award for the Global Citizen from the United Nations Association in 2015. She's a board member and director of development in Empower Nepali Girls Foundation. She also has received the award for outstanding practice and broad impact in the area of women and leadership from the International Leadership Association in 2017. Sara will be the first Iranian in history to climb the 7 summits, the 7 highest peaks of the mountains in each continent. Welcome, Sara.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm so excited to be here. So I'm gonna jump right into it. 8 years ago, I decided to climb Mount Everest to raise funds and awareness for the girls who become victims of human trafficking or are forced to get married at a very young age. I was working with a nonprofit. I am on the board of a nonprofit called Empower Nepali Girls. And I promised that I raise $1 per foot of Everest for the girls to continue their education. Everest is 29,000 feet. I promised to raise $29,000, which pays for 150 girls to go to school 1 whole year. And so I started training a lot because I was the simple 9-to-5 electrical engineer with zero background in mountain climbing. I've never known anybody in my family or extended family who have ever done such a thing. So it was beyond my comfort zone. But I was willing to train for it, but it's because it wasn't for me. It was to raise funds for the girls so that they can continue their education. And I had a bunch of fails at the beginning. It was so difficult, the cold weather, the high altitude. I failed and I failed and I failed. And finally, when I went to Nepal and I met the girls for the first time, and I saw their beautiful smiles, and I saw the situation that they live in, I saw the opportunities that they could have as a result of continuing their education. And that was just very heartbreaking, but it was very inspiring because I saw the opportunity and I saw how we can easily make a difference there for them. And that was kind of a lot of motivation for me to train for such a high altitude mountains at the same time helping them. And, you know, for me, this project was not just me getting on top of the mountain. It was mostly I wanted to be able to raise these funds for the girls and climb these mountains on behalf of all the women around the world who want to do such a thing, but because of the culture, because of the situation they live in, because of so many barriers and discriminations in their cultures, they cannot do such a thing. So it was not just for me, it was on behalf of the 4 billion of us who live on the planet, just a little bit less than 4 billion, very soon will be 4 billion, on the planet, and it was kind of a group project for me. So finally, when I trained and when I was ready to climb Mount Everest in 2015, there was a 7.8 earthquake while I was on the mountain, climbing the mountain at 20,000 feet. I was climbing an ice wall and there was a 7.8 earthquake, avalanches. It was very crazy, and somehow I survived that. I don't know how, but somehow there was pieces of ice the size of a car tumbling down the mountain, and none of them hit me. I don't know how. So I decided to look at that day, even though I was extremely traumatized, I decided to look at that day as my second birthday, the real birthday, the birthday that I realized that this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And my goal was to just go climb Everest, raise this money, and go back to my electrical engineering and kind of be done with this. But really, my whole journey started as a result of that earthquake, as a result of just getting my second life. And so I declared that I'm going to go back and climb Everest again. I'm actually going back in 20 days to climb Everest, in parentheses. So I promised that I'm going to go back and climb Everest again. But this time, not just Everest. I'm going to add 6 more mountains to it, which is the 7 summits, the 7 highest peaks on 7 continents, for 7 organizations who are empowering women globally, not just the one organization that I found and I dearly love and I'm on the board. I found 6 other organizations, one in Iran, one for Syrian refugees, for American girls, the women who become victims of abuse and violence, the women in Tanzania, in Africa, who are recovering from fistula, which is a disease they get in their reproductive system because they live so far from hospitals and doctors. So it's kind of, the project has started growing so beautifully and very inspiring for me and for all the women who heard my story, my background, how I grew up experiencing so much discrimination, and really everything that I didn't have when I was a kid as a little girl, now I wanted to provide it to all the other girls around the world. And recently I decided to start my own nonprofit called Climb Your Everest. And I named it Climb Your Everest because me and all the women, all of us, we all have Everests that you're climbing every day. We have so many obstacles, so many challenges, and I'm calling those challenges our Everests that we are climbing every day. And in my nonprofit, we are creating and developing programs to teach women skills that they need the most to be able to find a better job, continue their education, kind of take their life to the next level and live fulfilling lives. And this is based on my PhD research, which is I graduated in 2020, so the whole month during COVID, I was writing my dissertation. So it's based on my research, and my research is on how to empower women in developing countries by providing leadership skills for them, not in terms of providing just lectures, but basically by collaborating with the marginalized women and including them in the design of the project. So they design it themselves based on their own needs and how they can make their own lives better. So they are collaborating with us to design the whole program for themselves. And we tailor the program for each country, for each culture, even though all over the world we are all kind of dealing with the same problems, but each culture is just a little bit different from the other culture. So we want all the women to be involved in designing the program. So in 20 days, I'm going back to climb Mount Everest again after 7 years, after the earthquake. I don't know how it's going to be. I cannot promise that I'll make it to the top, but I'm doing my best. I've been training like crazy, and I'm really excited that for this climb, I'm dedicating it to my nonprofit, Climb Your Everest, and I'm raising another $29,000, $1 per foot of Everest, to help these women gain some skills to take their life to the next level and be the leader that they deserve to be in their life. Thank you.
Thank you. It's, you said something, well, first of all, I am sure there's not going to be another earthquake in 20 days. I'm sure of it, so you don't have to worry about that. But what are the chances that there could be an earthquake? As you said, and on a mountain, and you said it was traumatic and you survived that trauma. I have the privilege as a therapist working with women who deal with trauma every day, and the beauty of what can happen when we go past the trauma. You just keep going. As you said, the rebirth. You said it was your second birthday, and all the things that you have created, and you starting, in Nepal, but just kind of move around the world and in all these ways, really spreading peace, just individually as one person, to other women and around the world. Thank you for this. Thank you so much. It's beautiful.
It's a pleasure. It's an honor. And thank you for inviting me to be here.
Dr. Safari, it's so nice to meeting you here.
Nice.
In the chat box, we shared your fundraising site for our participants, and it will be shared on our YouTube as well. Your story is fascinating, and Thank you very much. Thank you very much for sharing with so much compassion, so much love. Honestly, you gave me goosebumps, all of them. And then I have tears of joy in my eyes. Thank you for being here today with us.
Okay, bye-bye.